Hello friends of the channel, VisionCrypto. Today we urgently need to talk about Bitcoin because there are very clear indicators that tell us how the price will develop in the near future. Recently, a certain FOMO has broken out again among many people, and there's a fear of missing out. The question is this FOMO really justified? You'll find out everything about Bitcoin today, both in the short term and the long term. Definitely stay tuned, watch the video until the end, give me a thumbs up for my work, and let me know in the comments whether you think we're going to keep rising or if there will be a correction. Many people say that the market has become unpredictable because prices can move incredibly quickly, both up and down. And yes, that's actually the case. The question is, hasn't it always been like this, or is it only like this right now? But let's take a look at everything since April 7th, because on April 7th, we found our preliminary low point for Bitcoin at around $74,500. And yes, a lot of people thought at that point that the bear market was coming. Of course, I couldn't completely free myself from the thought that maybe the bull run was already over. I think that's totally normal because basically there are only two emotions that really matter in the market. On the one hand, there's greed. That means I want money, I want profits, but also the fear of missing out. Down here on April 7th, the fear was extremely high. But now, just 46 days later, the price is no longer at $74,500. We already reached a peak of just under $112,000. That means that within about 6 weeks, the price of Bitcoin didn't quite double, but it still managed to gain 50% in value. And if you measure the whole thing, the fear and the greed, we have now reached a value of 78. 78 out of 100. That means we are in a state of extreme greed. And for all those who have been following the market for a while, what does extreme greed mean? It means that apparently it might not be too long before the prices start to fall again. And if we look at the whole thing on April 7th, we had a value of 23. That means when everyone was afraid and maybe even sold in panic, those were the best times to buy, because fear was ruling the market. And for good investors, it always means when everyone is greedy, sell, and when everyone is fearful, buy. But this isn't even the indicator that clearly tells us where things are headed. We'll be able to back this up even further because now we are getting to the crucial indicators. I'll briefly explain those again for everyone who's new to the market, which of course happens when greed is high and you can read everywhere that Bitcoin is back over 100,000 US. Let me know in the comments whether you're an old hand or if you're one of the new market participants, and all of this is still relatively new to you. But now let's move on to the first indicator that gives us a clear course of action. And that is the MACD. The MACD is a lagging indicator. That means it evaluates the price from the past and compares it to the current price development. And in the market, we always have phases. These are the green phases here, where the price is rising and we have positive momentum. And then there are market phases where the price is more likely to fall. We can see that here in the red chart. The whole thing is further illustrated by a blue and an orange line. And now, while this isn't true 100% of the time, it happens extremely often. Because most of the time, or almost always, when this blue line crosses the red line from above, then, as we can also see down here, and we have a trend reversal, this means that the price is shifting to bearish, anticipating falling prices. And as you can see here, and this is now the 4-hour chart, which means this line is updated every 4 hours, you can see that this indicator started turning several hours ago, but now the price has actually crossed the red line and we have declining momentum. This also fits quite well with the fact that just a few hours ago, we got the news that Trump is once again tinkering with tariffs and has imposed tariffs on Europe and Apple starting from June 1st, and the market is reacting. However, it had already reacted slightly before that, but this indicator is not the only one that is making us expect falling prices in the short term. Because there is a second indicator that is also very important, and that is the RSI. The RSI is also a lagging indicator, which again uses past prices and evaluates whether, based on recent prices, the market is rather overbought. That is, if there have been a lot of buyers recently, and this market momentum could be running out of steam, or whether when the price is down here, we have more of an oversold market. That means that so many sales have taken place that there is a deficit and prices are very likely to rise again soon. And we can see that starting at 70 points, the market is considered overbought. And here at the peak, we were at 75 points. That means we have actually already been quite deep in the overbought zone, and not just now, but actually for the past 2 or 3 days. And then it's clear that if the price is so strong and stays in the overbought zone for a long time, at some point it will be sold off again. And that's exactly what we've seen within just a few hours. The price has been sold off, but to the downside. It doesn't have to move downward now, but of course there's still a lot of room to the downside here. And now we come to another warning signal that additionally indicates a trend reversal, especially when we align the price with the indicators. My personal forecast and my position structure will come later. I'll show those to you, so please keep watching the video. In any case, as you can clearly see here, we've had steadily rising prices in the recent past since April. But both the MACD and the RSI have already unmistakably demonstrated a clear pattern of declining momentum, which indicates a loss of strength in contrast to the ongoing rise in Bitcoin's prices. And when there's a divergence like that, in other words, the price is rising while the indicators are already falling, it's always a warning sign that a trend reversal may not be far off. For those who don't know yet, this might be extremely interesting for you. I don't just analyze Bitcoin, but also many other charts 3 times a week in a written update. That means you receive a chart image along with a written explanation of how I interpret the chart in the medium or long term. And if you'd like to check out this offer, feel free to take a look at the video description below. There's a link to Patreon, and on Patreon you'll see the exact offer and the coins I'm currently analyzing. If you like my offer, I'd be happy to welcome you to my Discord server. If you don't feel like being completely transparent for the tax office, that is, you don't want them to have all your data in the crypto sector, and you also don't feel like spending hours identifying yourself and submitting documents. And if you want to trade your favorite coins without the EU saying, but not this coin because we don't like it, then you might also need an exchange where that's not the case. Personally, I trade on CoinX and use the freedoms I want to have there. All you need to register is an email address and a pass will be your choice. And then you're registered and can trade freely. You can deposit euros. Instead of fewer, there will be more coins. The fees are moderate, and if you register now, you can still receive up to $100 as a welcome bonus. Do it like I do. Go to CoinX and sign up. And now let's take a look at the indicators on the daily chart. That means we're now looking further into the future, so each individual bar that we'll see in a moment represents 1 day. The whole thing is a bit slower, but it gives an even better forecast of how the price will develop. I've now added both indicators to the chart here, and first of all, let's take a look at the MACD. The MACD has also risen sharply in the recent past and has already tried twice to break below this orange line, but was rejected each time, which means the price was able to continue rising. But of course, as with any resistance or support, the more often it is tested, the higher the probability that at some point this support, which is now represented by the orange line, will also break. Additionally, and this brings us back to the divergence, if we look down here at these candles, even though we are still moving upwards, we already see declining momentum here, which suggests that we are on the verge of a trend reversal. It's the same with the RSI. In February, we had a real low here where the Bitcoin price was heavily oversold. And since then, we've risen very, very well, but we've also been in the overbought zone on the daily chart since May 7th, so for over 2 weeks now. This means that here too, we have to expect that the price will give way sooner or later and that we will see a stronger sell-off. And now, of course, the question arises, what does all this mean for the chart? And that's what we're going to look at together now. The section of the chart we're seeing now is the chart since April 7th. That's basically down here. And since then, we've had our upward movement here. Now, there are 2 possibilities, or strictly speaking, 3 possibilities, of which 2 are bullish and 1 forecast is rather bearish, based on the conclusions we can now draw from the chart. I don't think scenario number 1 is very likely, but it's possible that Bitcoin actually manages to maintain its momentum and strength on the daily and 4-hour charts with repeated small recoveries, and that we continue to complete our upward movement here. That means we would still fully develop this wave 3, have another brief recovery into a wave 4, and then move upward into wave 5. And then we should have found our top and would first enter a summer lull, which would really be accompanied by a strong correction. I consider it more likely, and that's how it currently looks, that overall we have completed a wave A here and will soon move downward into a wave B. Wave B will either develop in 3 parts, either in an ABC formation, or it will form as a triangle where we could see price targets of between 95,900, so rounded up 96,000 US dollars, but no longer, and this is very important, no longer fall below 81,300 US dollars, because otherwise the risk of a real bear market becomes very, very high. So if there is a sell-off down to 81,300 US dollars, that's not a problem. If we fall below that, then the alarm bells need to start ringing. And last but not least, we have the red count, and at first it doesn't differ. Not particularly significant from the white count. The difference is that this red count would already signal the start of the bear market. First, we would also move down here in a small B wave, before then moving up again into the larger B wave, the circle B wave. That could also easily bring a new all-time high before things really plunge downward. And we would then actually see prices in the bear market that would take us down to between 52,700 US dollars. And in the worst case scenario, which I don't consider very likely, but as you know, the crypto market can have extremely strong swings either up or down. So that means we could, believe it or not, drop all the way down to around 23,600 US dollars. A more regular target in that case would be 33,000 US dollars. That would be the difference between the white and the red count, meaning with the white count, a B wave up to a maximum of 81,300 US dollars. And after that, there would be another rise that would bring even higher prices than what we currently have. So we would basically dip into this target box. Or the red count would mean that this would already be the start of the sell-off, with an ABC formation that should then bring us to prices between 23.6 and 52.7 before the price then sets off again towards the next bull market. In conclusion, I can only recommend that you check out the offer on Patreon for my Discord server, because right now a lot can happen, and this is when it will be decided whether we make a lot of profits, especially you. After all, it's about your money, or whether you might miss 1 or 2 opportunities. And with my analysis, you have an advantage over many others. Take a look at it. It's really interesting, and compared to the competition, also very easy on your wallet. In closing, I say, give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. What do you think? Is the bear market coming now? Will there be a correction in between, or are we going to break through? And of course, as a new viewer, I'd be happy if you subscribe to the channel. Now I'll say see you in the next video, and ciao. And I'd also like to point out that there's another exciting chart analysis waiting for you in the end credits.